World News, where we talk about electric vehicles, this green energy, and the stock markets. Everything you hear here is for entertainment purposes only. I want to welcome Pro Trader Mike and Bill Moore with me today. You guys?
Howdy, guys.
So I've got something interesting for you. So, electric vehicle world was started in what year, Bill?
Officially went online January 1, 1998.
Wow.
There
So,
was, the fall of 1997, but the official kickoff date when I threw the switch was 1998, January 1.
and so we're over 25 and a half years. So, what crazy thoughts were going through your head that made you decide to create an electric vehicle website when they didn't exist, really?
Steve Jobs decided they were going to do away with the Mac operating system.
So you were
That was
bored?
that was the catalyst. No, I at the time I was writing software, Macintosh software reviews for CNET.
Okay.
So I was going in and finding freeware and shareware, and I was writing reviews of the software, and it was getting published on CNET. And I had started a web. I was planning on sort of moving into e-commerce. I had the macware.com address. And then all of a sudden, I think it was 97 or whatever it was, Jobs says, well, we're going to go to this new kernel, B system, operating system. I thought, oh, great. he just evaporated my business plan. Now, of course, if I kept it, I think I've sold macware.com to somebody and made a few coins off of it. But I went that summer, I went down to talk to my local banker. For what reason, I cannot remember. And I had to wait for them. And so I'm sitting there at one of the tables and picked up Business Week magazine and opened it up. And in the two-page spread ad, in the middle of the magazine, which is like what, the second or third most expensive ad spread you can get, was an advertisement for an electric bicycle.
Oh, hold on. Before you go any further, can you explain to people what a newspaper is?
In this case, what a magazine is, right? Are there any more of those around anymore? But it was a Business Week magazine, and this company was running a two-page spread across the middle advertising their electric assist bicycle. And I thought, what the heck is this? So I read the ads and things, and I got curious, and I took, all these magazines have the little subscriber card, or they used to, subscriber, 3x5 inside. And so I took the card out and I wrote the URL. Now remember, this is 1997. Not a lot of people know about the internet at this point. It's obviously starting to catch on. So I wrote the URL down, and my home computer was 14.4. Remember that? Slow as
Yeah.
molasses, in January. So I thought, well, I'll go down to our newly opened library, which had an ISDN connection. So I drove down to the library. It was about a mile, and went in there and got on the internet and started surfing, such as it was in 1997, and started learning more about these electric cars and bicycles and things, most of which was focused in California. And I thought, this is really intriguing. One of my heroes, personal heroes, the guy named oh, come on, Bill, don't do this to me. Hold on a second. Oh, let's see. Anyway,
You have his book.
his book's back here somewhere. Come on, Paul McCready. And Paul was involved in this. In fact, Paul and his team at AeroVironments were the ones that developed GM's first modern electric car, the EV1. Prior to that, they had built the Sun Racer, which was a solar-powered car that killed all the competition at the Sun Race across the solar race across Australia from Darwin to Adelaide. And I admired this guy for a long, long time because of his work in aviation and human-powered flight and solar flight and so on. So I got involved in that, and I started digging deeper. And the more I dug, the more I found, well, there's no real publication that's focused on the consumer. Most of these are all sort of government, run, non NGO type groups. And so I decided to take a look. I said, well, if I can't do my Macintosh thing, why don't I do electric cars? And I figured I'm going to launch a magazine, and I'll launch a magazine and use the website as the kickoff. And boy, pretty soon in 2 years' time, the world's going to be going electric. Well, 25 years it took for us to get to that point. I'm still looking for the magazine, but everything has moved digital anyway, so that's kind of a moot point. But that's how I got started. It was an advertisement for an electric bicycle.
Nice, nice. That's pretty amazing to think that it's been going on that long, and especially considering you did it from an unusual state.
Yeah, it's doing it from now. Nebraska is beautiful because things are affordable here. Housing's affordable, food's affordable, energy because of the public utilities. Everything is really it's a great place to live, but it's not necessarily the best place in the world to be in the middle of an evolving, rapidly changing automotive transition from gas to electric. If I had been smart, in fact, well, another story. I won't go there. But anyway, I should be living in California, or I should have been living in Detroit.
There you go.
You
Well,
know,
then we wouldn't
those two.
have the blessing of having you be a leader here in Nebraska.
Well,
So,
so yeah.
so tell me a little bit. You also were delivered a Toyota Prius to Nebraska in 1998. Is that correct?
Yes, because of my early before I launched EV World, I attended my first electric vehicle symposium, which was held in Orlando, Florida in 1997, December of 1997. And this was the big debut moment for the Prius, the EV1, all of the OEMs that were required by the state of California to begin to offer electric drive vehicles, what they call zero emission vehicles, ZEBs. That took place at that conference down in Orlando. And so I went to that conference, and suddenly I'm rubbing shoulders with the engineers that helped build these cars, the guys that are the hobbyists who, even before the OEMs got involved, were doing electric. I mean, electric cars have been around for as long as gas cars. In fact, actually, technically longer, if you really go back far enough. So I'm rubbing shoulders with these guys. And that happened to be the year that Toyota, which had just launched, I think it was December 12th, they had just launched the Prius in Japan. And they had a couple of early Priuses that they shipped to this conference. And so I got a chance to see that vehicle. I got, to see all these different vehicles. Well, I made friends with one of the lead guys, one of the chief engineers there at Toyota. And we continued dialogue, and he saw what I was doing with EV World, and he, somehow or another, I don't persuaded him. Well, let me have one of the cars, to test drive, and because they're always shipping cars across country on Interstate 80. Well,
Oh, wow.
we'll just have them drop off one of the cars there, at your place.
I wondered about the logistics of that. That explains it.
Yeah, because they're always, cars are going between Detroit and California all the time, and most of the time that's on Interstate 80. So in this case, they said, well, we'll just have one of our trucks drop one off to you, and you can have it for a month. It turned out to be 4 months.
Wow.
So the catch is that they weren't building any left-hand drive models because these were all made for the Japanese market. So they were all right-hand drive models. So I had to get used. I mean, I had learned how to drive because I'd spent a couple of years in England. So I learned how to drive that way, and it doesn't take you that long. So I got to have that car for 4 months, and it was a great experience other than the time the policeman stopped me. Yep, there it is. Other than the policeman stopped me and wondered what I was doing, filming myself driving that car. what was happening was my wife and I were doing probably one of the very first video reviews of an electric car on the internet. So she had the video camera and I was driving. So she was in where the driver would be on an American car. And I was on the right hand side. So the guy pulls us over because he saw her with the camera. And he pulls us over and he comes up, you know how they park behind you. And he comes up and he stops. And I'm watching him in the rear view mirror and he stops and he does a double take. He says, it comes around to my side instead of around to her side. I said, well, he basically said, well, I kind of apologize. I thought your wife was driving and holding and filming that camera. I said, no, I'm doing the driving and she's doing the filming. So that was kind of a fun, interesting introduction to the technology. It was a fun little car. It was great. I would soon after that in 2000, I would end up buying a Honda's version of the hybrid and had that for about 10 years, and I sold and then ended up buying the Prius that we have right now. So
Nice, nice, nice. It's just a pretty amazing story. And over the years, you've done a lot of different things with EV World. I've seen you've definitely at one time you were doing more interviews and things like that. Now the site is mainly curated news. How
yeah,
long have you done curated news?
I started that actually just a little over a year ago.
Okay.
I took, when we got into COVID and that whole thing, I decided to take a break and I spent the better part of a year doing something. I mean, I love electric cars, but one of my passions is flying. Not that I can do it anymore because I'm getting too old, but anyway, so I took a year to basically organize a commemoration of the 100th anniversary of the first transcontinental airmail flight from New York to California. And so I organized a bunch of private pilots who would fly legs of the original airmail route and carry a mail bag with commemorative postcards from New York, Long Island, all the way to San Francisco Bay. And we had snowstorms we had to deal with and thunderstorms. And that was the big year of all the smoke in San Francisco that made the sky look like you were in Hades, But so we had some obstacles, but we pulled it off. We delivered the mail bag to the postmaster of the city of San Francisco at the exact spot, day, and time that it was done in 1920, which was kind of a cool accomplishment. So that's what engaged me. And I said, well, I better get back to electric vehicles because things are really starting to fire up and spark now. And so I decided I had moved the site from a previous server that I was on. I won't name the company, but I was not happy with them, to my current server. And I thought, while I'm moving everything, I had previously taught myself how to program everything in Cold Fusion. Now I had to teach myself how to do everything in PHP. So I had to rewrite all the code and all that kind of thing. So it took a while. But anyway, that's why I decided to. There was so much happening back when I started EV World. I was hard pressed to find 10 stories a day globally on electric vehicles. And today, in the last 24 hours, I put 124
That's amazing.
EV
Eh,
related stories. So so I thought, well, it makes sense to all this news is scattered everywhere. Why not kind of funnel it into one place, which is when I created the RSS stream to
I
let
think it's
people.
amazing. I don't think people realize how many people are out there talking about electric vehicles, especially in news articles. When I tell people there's more than 100 new news articles every day,
Oh, yeah.
they all seem pretty shocked. And there's a
Oh, yeah.
lot of content coming out on electric vehicles on a daily basis.
Well, again, it's become global. You've got the gorilla in the room we talked about before. The Chinese market where almost all of I don't know what is it, 60% of all the cars now that they sell there are electric drive. Globally, the market is now I think 19. I think I posted today 19% of all car sales now globally are electric drive. So this thing is it's becoming an EV world.
It is. We're
Yeah,
slowly getting some adoption,
yeah, we're
and
getting.
that's great. And I'm, pleased that you and I have crossed paths and are doing this. Obviously,
Well,
we
we're
both
sort of
have our
neighbors. I mean, you live over there.
not that far,
No,
not
not
that
that far.
far.
What, a couple miles away on the other
Yeah,
side of town, and so yeah, it's kind of interesting.
yeah. Anyways, I want to thank you guys for doing this, and Bill for humoring me to do a little interview with you today. I'm going to go ahead and end the broadcast for today. Everybody who's listening, appreciate you listening in.
Before you do,
Go ahead.
let me put a pitch in. Make sure if you want to see what's happening on a day by day basis in the world of electric vehicles, and that's everything from bicycles to buses and beyond. Because the spacecraft on Mars are EVs, right?
Right.
So if you want to see what's going on a daily basis and get your, get literally, well, literally, figuratively, a fire hose of news about information, go and check out our RSS stream on the website. That's where you can get all that information fed to an RSS reader that you can have on your browser or on your smartphone, and you can stay in touch with what's going on. So.
Great. Love it. Love it. All right. Going to go ahead and